And what is happening, everybody? My name is Julius, and I'm here once again with a podcast, but it is not about that dreaded word cinema. It is about, in fact, comic books. We are here with the first issue of the first volume of We Tolerate Comics, and I'm here with a guy who I grew up talking about comic books with, which is crazy. I mean, that's kind of wild. It's like Hugh Jackman coming back. It's that type of nostalgia we got going on right now.
For sure.
But I'm here with Mr. Daniel, and Daniel's been on the podcast a lot recently, especially for X Month, which just passed, and we had some great conversations about the X-Men and everything, and the boys and everything. But we're here to talk about some comic book shit. So what's up,
Let's do it.
Daniel?
Hey, how you doing?
Oh,
Thanks for
I'm here.
thanks
I'm
for having
excited.
yeah, thanks for having me on. Super excited when you told me the premise of this like new series you're doing. I
Hmm.
got super amped up, super excited. Like you said, we've been talking about comics since you were like 5 and
And
we're
since you were 45.
yeah, right. Since I was 45, now I'm 80 and you're here and we're doing our
Yeah.
thing. You know. So
Yeah.
yeah, super amped up about it.
Yeah, this is great. This is really exciting. We have some really cool books to talk about.
Right, right.
But before we get into all that stuff, to kind of lay the groundwork of the channel and everything. First of all, I want to thank people who are not only watching this, but who watched the Spider-Man video that just came out, the Spider-Man 4 kind of pitch thing that we had, and that's been in the works for months at this point, and the reaction to it has been really nice, and I just want to thank everyone for it. And there's more of that to come, I promise you, and it was a lot of fun
Yeah.
to do. And yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah. Go.
Symbiote.
Let's do it.
That was a lot of fun. So thank you all for watching that, and I hope you
Yeah.
enjoyed this podcast. But Daniel, we're both big Batman fans, eh, super big Batman fans. We've talked
Huge.
extensively. Yeah,
Yeah.
huge. The amount of times we've talked about Batman probably amount to years worth of content,
Yeah.
you know,
No, we've
just
we've
about
had
Batman.
we've agreed, we've debated, we've discussed, we've dissected it all, you know what I mean? Like we've gone through it. We've gone through it.
Batman.
Yeah. No, I'm
Um,
Batman.
I know. Yeah, that's the debate right there.
Bro, that's yeah.
Which one is Batman?
Yeah, right,
But
right.
you haven't seen any of the Cape Crusader show, right?
No, no, I wish. I'm super excited to watch it. It's on the queue right now. I've been watching other stuff like House of Dragons and
Hmm.
other things. Just getting into the show Evil on Netflix is pretty good. I only seen a few episodes, but that it's pretty interesting. And then
Hmm.
what else did I watch? Yeah, House of Dragons, and then oh well, I was kind of bummed out, but I was watching The Acolyte, and that really
Oh yeah. Well.
yeah, that didn't bum me out. That made me angry. Actually, that made me angry. I
Oh,
was
I
I
know.
was really pissed off, but it
I
is
loved
what
it.
it is. Yeah, yeah, right, right, right.
Um. Well, I just finished up the Cape Crusader show, the return of
Uh,
Bruce Timm, in the animated version of Batman, and
of
Batman
course,
kind of rose up to that credibility of mythic status because of the animated series with Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill and everything. And they're with this show, they're approaching Batman. First of all, they're setting it back when the original books were coming out, like late
right,
30s, it seems. It's
right,
very
right.
pulpy noir detective stories. He's a dark adventurer, which is really cool. He's not like deal with his past and kind of the trauma he has, but that's not what's leading it, like with something like the Batman, right?
I see, I see.
Yeah, he's like a Dick Tracy, kind of the shadow type of character here. And I know you grew up with the animated series more so than I did. I had, at that point I had like Justice League Unlimited.
Right.
But when you were watching that show then, when it was coming out and everything, did it feel like you were seeing the birth of a new type of Batman? Because there was Adam West for so long, there was the Neil Adams stuff for so long. Did you feel that way?
Yes, most definitely I did. The way you're describing Cape Crusader is almost like a throwback to the early days where he was just like an audio comic, you know,
Hmm.
it very similar to Dick Tracy. All you would do is hear his stories on tape, you know. I mean, obviously there was the comics and stuff like that, but in terms of content, like it was really just black and white movie here and there, and then
Yeah.
these radio shows that would be on. I obviously I was I was born in the 80s, so I didn't grow up listening to the audios, but my grandfather had them on cassette tape and he got them for me, and so I was able to listen to the original like OG radio show of Batman and Dick
Hmm.
Tracy. I had those too, but the Batman ones they're like how you describe Cape Crusaders, almost like a almost what it seems like or what you're saying, and I'm excited to watch it, but it seems like it's a
Yeah.
throwback to those early days of Batman mixed with the animated series of Batman. And very much so, I will say that it was the birth of a new Batman. I mean, we got basically the first Dark Knight movie in the Mask of the Phantasm,
Oh
and
yeah.
that spawned from the animated series. And I didn't think that I was just watching the birth of a new concept on Batman. It felt like I was watching a whole new birth of animation in general. I thought animations
Hmm.
were going to be done in this way, and luckily we got like Batman Beyond after, and like you said, we had a Superman version of that which fit perfectly, Justice League
Oh yeah.
Unlimited. and
Superman the
but
animated series, classic,
and
classic.
but and what I like is that they kind of, it was a variation of the original, Batman animated series, right? And they just made sense for the Justice League, or they made sense for Superman, right? But it was like the Bruce Timm era, right? Like
Yeah.
so I don't know. That's how it felt like as a kid watching it. I was like, whoa, because that came out, obviously it was the first of many. We didn't have the Justice League and Batman Beyond after that, but when I was watching that, I was like, man, I can't wait to see what spawns from this. And then these shows started coming out afterwards, and I was like, man. But yeah, the first was Batman, but it wasn't I think as a kid we knew there was something special about that animated series, you know what I mean? And you
Hmm.
can't quite like finger it, like you can't write like quite pinpoint it, but it wasn't just about Batman. It felt bigger than that. It felt like, wow, we're really exploring a new type of way to tell stories, almost. You know what I mean? And so,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think that it's the golden example of what animated shows should be like. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
definitely it was
they're
special. It
very
was very special.
serialized.
Yeah, very serialized, very special. It was it was the 90s version of the old noir, Batman, like getting him on a radio show, except now they're putting us, it's new content. We get it in our faces, not live action, but as live action as it could be for a kid. You know what I mean? Our imagination
Yeah.
was definitely stimulated. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a blast, dude. The animated series is like that's a blast. It was
It's
cool.
classic.
It's classic.
Yeah, I mean, they with this new show, they're not like I don't think they're trying to recreate,
Okay.
just do the animated series like all over again.
Right, right,
Um
right. Which is
it,
good.
it's
Which is good.
yeah, it's not
Hmm.
even just about Batman here, it's not
Right.
villain of the week. It's very much
Okay.
a Gotham City story. They're
Hey,
using the era
right.
and these characters and um adapting them to fit the era and changing things up. And I'm not pissed about the changes, like example, Harley Quinn, the way they utilize Harley Quinn in this show, I actually think is one of the more interesting versions of Harley Quinn we've seen in a long time,
Okay.
including like some of the movies and the new shows and stuff. Like
Right.
they are doing some really interesting things, and this is obviously it's inspired not just by Batman and the comics, but it's inspired by gangster films from that era, like the original Scarface and Public Enemy. That's a more recent one, but gang films that are set in those decades. The classic
Yeah.
like Edward G.
Untouchables.
Robinson and shit,
Yeah.
Untouchables. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. you
Right.
know?
Yeah, no,
And
those are
it's a really cool direction for Batman, just
right.
because that's where he comes from. He comes from that
Yeah.
era.
He does, yeah. And he's an
Yeah.
amalgamation of like, different characters like Dick Tracy, the Spirit, things like that. And
Hmm.
you know, and then they did what they did, Bob Kane and freaking
Bill Finger.
yeah.
You were about to. I don't know if you were gonna like intentionally forget, or, or you just did forget. But
Yeah.
I'm a Bob Kane stan.
Yeah. I'm that based. I'm so, I'm so based. I think Bob Kane did it.
We'll talk about Bob Kane. We'll talk
Yeah,
about that dude
yeah.
later
That's a
on.
whole
But
video. That's a whole
no,
video.
that
Yeah,
that's like a documentary. There's actually a
yeah,
documentary about that
yeah. There
called
is.
Batman
There
and
is.
Bill.
Yeah,
Really
right,
good
right.
one.
Let's go, Bill.
Yeah, Bill.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
go.
but Batman Cape Crusader, it's fun, it's
Yeah,
fun.
it's a good time.
I definitely
That's cool.
recommend
I'm
it.
I'm excited. I'm really excited. It's on the queue for sure.
Yeah. Well, what do you think attracts us to young Batman, like that period of when he's just starting out? Because we're always going through the origin, and like the Batman came out where he's been around for a little bit, but it's at earlier on in his career. We got this show, I want to get the first appearance Batman figure that McFarlane's putting out, like
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we're all invested in that. What about that what do you think is that for?
Well, I think the noir style just in general attracts people of all creeds and races because and the reason I say that, I'm sure there's people that are like, I don't like noir, but the reason why I think noir in general attracts people is because, you know, like you said, it's usually a tale not of a certain character, but it's a tale of like a place, a setting, a moment in time. And then you're introduced to these characters that are kind of just trying to like try to survive, try to live, and because of the noir style, you're in the mind of each character. I mean, a lot of the times it's narrated by the character that you're following, or some sort of character that has some influence in the story, or is the story is about. And so, you're in the literal mind of the character, so you're not being told like it's just a very interesting way to tell a story that I think draws people in, because we're all in our own minds. That I guess the way we go through the universe is through our own mind, right? Like I can't experience. We're even literally talking to each other right now, but I can't perceive it the way you're perceiving it, right? Like it's still from my perspective. I see your face, and vice versa. You see my face, right? And so, if this was a noir story and I'm the one narrating it from behind my head, like it's I don't know. It really brings it. I think that's what draws people in. And so now you're putting Batman, that's the character we're following in this like noir style, where you're in the mind of Batman, you're in the struggle of Batman. That's why we all say it. That's why you said it. We literally just said it like a few minutes ago, but we can all feel that at some point. Little boys, little girls, we can all feel that at some point, like, I'm Batman. I'm
Hmm.
Batman. Like everyone's been in a variation of some sort of situation with Batman. And then if you bring it back to that style where he's in his head, and he's you feel the rainy day, you know what I mean? Like you feel the pain, you feel the
Yeah.
struggle, and so you feel him trying to figure it out and do what's right, but still maintain some sort of justice and order, right? And so I don't know. I think we all try to make some sort of justice and order in our own mind, when we battle the chaos that the universe brings towards us, right? And so
Yeah.
in that sense, I think that's why noir in general just attracts people. Now you put noir Batman, oh dude, sign me up, give me my money, right? I'll be
Yeah.
here every week of my whole life, and I have been, you know what I mean? Now I'm 63 and I'm still reading Batman comics, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
well, that's interesting that you say that because this Batman, this version of Batman, which by the way,
mm,
Hamish Linklater plays him, and he does a great
okay,
job, I think. He
right,
really leans into this Batman kind of being that role of him being the pulp hero turns him kind
right.
of into like a sociopath in this
I
show,
see.
you know?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
he's like for example, he refers to Alfred as Pennyworth throughout most of the show. You know what I mean? It's very cold.
yeah.
He's just like Alfred is just like an appliance to him, you know? And
Wow. Yeah.
which is a really cool detail about it. One
Mm-hmm.
thing I really hope we see as the show continues. I don't know how long it's going to continue.
Right.
But I hope we see this Batman kind of transform as the series goes on into these other versions of the characters of the character that we know. Like, not that it has to turn into a whole kiddie cartoon like how it kind of did in the Comics Code era, they couldn't
Mm-hmm. Right.
have it
Right.
about murders and stuff, but
Right.
like have him wear maybe a brighter costume as the years turn, maybe get a Robin where his personality kind of changes. I really want this Batman to escape that hopelessness, which they kind of tease at the end of the season. I'm not going to say how or why or anything like that, but I really think there's a lot of potential there to see this Batman kind of go from this isolated loner when he's in his youth to someone who needs stability and family as he gets older, you know?
Well, that it would only make sense, and the
Yeah.
thing is, it makes sense because we all know why Batman became Batman. So even in his early days, obviously he's not a child anymore, but he's still very much in the beginning stages of finally expressing the rage that he feels from losing his parents, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense that he would be cold in his early days. He's trying to like balance out, uh he's trying to work out his own humanity while becoming essentially a vigilante, right?
Yeah.
And I can only assume that that's very difficult to do. So it wouldn't make sense if they don't show that difficulty, right? That hardship, especially emotionally, right? Mentally,
Yeah.
it only makes sense. So it'd be cool if they show that growth later. Like, okay, I've balanced out my humanity. I kind of have a sense of my own justice that I'm learning as I distribute justice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it would make sense that they do it that way. A more, because although, like you're saying, he's cold, right? Eventually, let's say a few years down the line, I'm not saying he should be cold or loving, but he should display some more confidence. And I think the cold is him trying to deal with his lack of confidence. You know what I mean? Like not
Yeah.
lack of
Yeah.
confidence, but he's like, I'm just starting. I am I even doing the right thing? Like, do you know what I mean? But later
No, I
he's gonna
agree
know
completely.
I'm Batman, and
Yeah.
I'm Batman. I know what to do here. You know what I mean? So it
Yeah.
just
No,
makes
the fact that
sense.
he is Batman shows
Mm,
how little of himself he thinks, right?
exactly,
Like
exactly.
it's an
That's what I'm
escape.
saying. Right, his escape.
Yeah.
Exactly. Later, obviously, later you learn, and probably he becomes, like in other iterations, he becomes essentially Batman, and Bruce Wayne is the mask that he uses, but he is Batman. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
he's not Bruce Wayne. That we lose Bruce Wayne along the way, right? And we gain a Batman, and we lose a Bruce Wayne, but Bruce Wayne becomes the mask for Batman. You know what I mean? And we even see it. We even see it when Conroy's last words, right? He
Oh
is.
yeah.
He's like, I'm going out. He's not going out as Bruce Wayne. He's going out as Batman.
Yep.
I'm Batman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And he's like, that's how I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go out being what I've always been and what I am. And there
Yeah.
couldn't be any truer words. He's not Bruce Wayne. He's Batman. So
Oh, that's powerful. I heard
yeah,
Crisis isn't great, but I heard the Tomorrowverse is kind of scattered in terms of quality. But that moment, him, they got
epic,
Batman perfect, and
epic.
it's powerful. It's
Powerful,
powerful.
epic.
It's epic.
Yeah. Goosebumps, dude.
It's everything.
And it sucks. It's like a goosebump inducing moment in like not a good,
In
not good
what?
content, but yeah. But it's so sick. That moment's so sick, dude. It's epic, It's really cool. Next level.
Next. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about the pillars of these comic books and everything. Batman is one of the pillars. And by the way, another pillar is Superman. And before we get to your book, I don't want to spoil it or anything, but I just
Yeah.
want to say I need they just need to recreate the 90s. I need a Superman show set in this Cape Crusader world
Mhm.
called Superman Man of Tomorrow. Okay? That's all I need. And
That
it's
would
set
be
in
sick.
Metropolis.
Yeah. And you see not only in the style of clothes that people are wearing, like now
Yeah,
everybody's wearing what was big in the 90s when I was a kid. Jankos are
yeah.
coming back, dude. Jankos. Like it's wild. And so not only that, but then we have X-Men 97, right? Which blew the top off everyone's lid. You know what I mean? Like that is crazy. Like that show is insanely amazing. And now, like you said, we're getting this Cape Crusader. So
Hmm.
I guess what we're seeing is not just in the style that people dress like in the apparel, but we're seeing the 90s kind of come back in this in a new, almost more visceral way. And it's really cool. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Superman, Man of Tomorrow. Let's do
let's
it.
do it.
I don't
And
know. I don't know who you can get as Superman. Uh,
right.
I don't know, but someone. Ryan
Yeah.
Gosling.
Ryan Gosling. Yeah. Why not? Why not? You know,
Why the
who
hell
cares?
not? If you're a fan of Spider-Man and want to see a more mature depiction of the web slinger, if you're a little tired of seeing him in his youth and want to see him deal with more mature adult-centric problems, I definitely recommend Ultimate Spider-Man written by Jonathan Hickman. It's a great book with really cool ideas, really beautiful artwork. We're 8 issues in and it's really starting to ramp up. It's a part of the new Ultimate Universe, set in a world where Peter Parker was never bitten by the radioactive spider that granted him his powers. In this book, Peter is married to Mary Jane and has 2 children. We've seen the Kingpin, Green Goblin, Matthew Murdock, and Shocker so far. It is brilliantly written. I'm really excited to see what Jonathan Hickman has in store for the Ultimate Universe, and you can tell that Ultimate Spider-Man is a foundation of it. Go to your local comic book store, get a copy, and enjoy. Have a good one, stay safe, and goodbye. Daniel, we're here to talk about 2 comics that are very influential, dealing with influential characters at the very least. And you brought a very specific one of 2 icons, 2 heroes. And I'm curious about the relevance of it. Not because it's not like I don't care or anything, but because, they are 2 icons of pop culture. And this is almost like the crossover in many ways, you know? Uh, but go for it. What do we got?
So the comic that I brought was a DC Comics Presents. It's a certain volume where DC just presents different things. Mine is issue 47 within the volumes, but it is Superman and the Masters of the Universe.
Oh
So
my God.
yeah, it's wild, and it's an original print. It's
Oh, nice.
basically, you know, we get a Superman and a He-Man fight in within the comics, and it's really dope. So the relevance, or I guess what birthed this was, you know, He-Man was a new up and coming toy line in the 80s, in the early 80s, and in 81 they came out with these 4 little comics to go along with the He-Man release with the toy line, right? And at the time, Eternia hadn't been fleshed out, right? He-Man hadn't been fleshed out. It was just these 4 comics. And now the He-Man fans, the Masters of the Universe fans, we refer to that time period in Eternia as Savage Eternia, because back then He-Man was just a wandering barbarian, and Castle Grayskull, you know, they have to defend Castle Grayskull. The sorceress uses He-Man as a defender, so she gives him the good half of the power sword, while Skeletor has the bad half of the evil half of the sword. And they go and they do battle within these little 4 comics that come around with the toy
Mhm.
line, and they were like mini comics, right? But DC, to help out the toy line, it was kind of like a mutual thing. Like they would distribute the comic, but they would have to have a crossover with their icon with Superman, right? So they had to write that, and that's what kind of like spawned this in '82. So
That's
this
a
is
beautiful
1980.
cover.
Yeah, it's beautiful cover, right? You get
Yeah, look at
Skeletor
that.
there. You get the classic Superman and Master of the Universe logo there. Get Gray
Who's
Skulls in the
the
back.
writer and artist?
So the writer is Paul Kupperberg, and
Huh.
the artist, or at least the penciler, was Kurt Swan. And then I
Okay.
think Mike DiCarlo is the inker, Gene D'Angelo is the colorist, Ben Oda is the letterer,
Yeah.
Dave Manek is the editor, but the main writer was Paul Kupperberg. Um,
Oh, that's
so
sick.
yeah, it's very sick. It's super dope. It's not very intricate. It's just a one-off, right? Because you just need the excuse to get these two to fight and do battle together, right? So it's not super intricate. It's not super deep. You almost don't really go into, the heavy mind, like what's deep inside the mind of He-Man or Superman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just funny. You go through the similarities of them because they introduce to you, Adam, who's not clumsy, but he's very much a jokester and he's always goofing
Hmm.
off, right? And he's young. He's Prince Adam, right? And but certain character like the sorceress knows him to be He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe, right? And then same thing with, and they go through that in the very beginning, right? They go through the introducing Adam, and then they also introduce the similarity of Clark Kent, right? Clark Kent is
Yeah.
very clumsy. He trips over this cable line where he's trying to do this show and become an anchor for
Oh,
for
for the Daily Planet?
for the planet, right? And so
Uh-huh.
then they show the similarities there, and what ends up happening is uh Skeletor always messing around, always trying to get into the power of Castle Grayskull, right? He's always trying to
Yeah.
become the master of the universe, and in doing so he's using his evil half of the sword, and he's trying to get in, and in doing that it creates a rift in time and space, and there's this cloud that appears above Metropolis as he's like striking the Castle Grayskull, right? He's like, I guess he's
Yeah.
creating this dimensional portal in Metropolis. And
Yeah.
so Clark,
His hits are so powerful. They
yeah,
break
it's so
reality
powerful, right?
like
Yeah,
Superman.
exactly. So
Pre-crisis.
Superman is doing a normal patrol around Metropolis. He sees this cloud and he tries to use his X-ray vision to see through it. He can't see. He's like, that's really weird. And before, as he's exploring it, he gets caught in like basically like what a traction beam, right? But he gets caught in the storm, and it brings him through, and he ends up right in front of Castle Grayskull. He's trying to figure out what the hell is going on,
Yeah.
and and that's when Skeletor sees him and is like, "Who the hell are you?" Like he thinks Grayskull summoned this hero to fight him, and we know that Superman is weak towards magic, so Skeletor is able to kind of defeat him in a matter of seconds. He just blows him away, like really far away. He's like, "Get out of here!" So he uses a sword and he blows Superman away. And He-Man knows there's a disturbance at Castle Grayskull, right? So he goes to do battle with Skeletor, and he sees not a wounded, but a Superman that's recovering from being tossed to the ground. And he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And he's like, "Well, I got tossed, by this guy named Skeletor." And He-Man's like, "What? Like Skeletor's around? That's who I'm trying to do battle with." And he's like, "All right, well, let's roll into battle, And he's like, "All right." So they
Let's do it.
charge. Let's do it. So that now they're rolling deep, right? So it's Cringer, Battle Cat, and He-Man's on Battle Cat, right? And he's actually going so fast that even Superman's having trouble catching up to him. He's like, "Oh shoot, like you're actually pretty fast." And he's like, "Well, yeah, like we're gonna do battle, And he's like, "Okay, shoot," like because he's trying to he doesn't even understand what's going on. He literally
Yeah.
just appears in front of Grayskull. This Skeletor's right there, and he's like, "All right, that's it." And they start fighting. Sends him off, and so he's still trying to process what's going on, right? And then once they get to Skeletor, they get to Castle Grayskull. uh, He-Man thinks they're gonna dispatch Skeletor in seconds because he's like, you're rolling with me now. I got help. You're screwed. Like it's over. And that's when Skeletor tells him, he's like, yeah, I might be screwed if you guys team up and you guys fight me. Yeah, that's true. But your homie, the one that you brought, he's like weak to magic. He's like super weak.
Yeah.
And then before he can even ask like why does that matter, or like who cares, we're still gonna whoop you, like as he's like He-Man's about to have his comeback, Skeletor takes control of Superman. And so when He-Man's about to attack Skeletor, Superman comes and tackles him, right? So he tackles him
Oh
out of the
shit.
way. Yeah, he tackles him out of the way. But He-Man is the most powerful man in the universe, sir. And so as he gets tackled, he grabs him by his yeah.
Maybe in that universe.
But that's the thing. In that universe, he is the most powerful man. And so it's basically a
Yeah.
battle. It becomes a battle between the two most powerful men within their
Hmm.
universe. So as a kid, when I read this, because this I've had since I was a kid. I've had it since
It's in great condition.
it's in great condition, right? I've had it since I was a freaking kid. This is my dad bought this for me. And
Wow.
so yeah, so it's really cool. And yeah, and it's dope. So me, when I was reading it, I'm not looking for like the perspective of this dude's heart. Like I just want to see He-Man and Superman fight, right? Like that's
Yeah.
really all I want. And that's what I got. So then they start handling He-Man uses his cape and tosses Superman, and then they both throw a punch, and He-Man kind of connects, and Superman doesn't connect at first, but then he connects with a second one and freaking knocks He-Man down to the ground. So He-Man's like on the
Oof.
floor like trying to recover from this little tussle that they had. And Superman's like, how do I get out of this? Because he knows he's being controlled. He doesn't want to fight He-Man. Even as he's fighting him, he's like, shoot, like, why am I like working for Skeletor? I can't fight this magic. It's too powerful. I don't know I can't control myself, right? So as he like clocks He-Man down, and He-Man like, is trying to recover from the freaking being punched by Superman, which is insane. Um, Superman comes up with the idea. He's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna melt. I'm gonna like he can control me, kind of. He can control my body, but like, can he control my eyes? Like, can he control anything else I can do? So he uses his heat vision to trap Skeletor. He makes the ground around Skeletor so hot that it becomes molten, right? And then he gets trapped in that. So Skeletor sinks in, and he gets trapped, and he can't do anything, which releases Superman from the spell, right? So now that he's lost his focus, the spell is lost control, right? So then as He-Man's recovering and he's about to whoop Skeletor, like, oh dude, like now he's pissed, Superman already has him in his hands, and he's like, hey, do you mind if I like whooping, and He-Man's like, no, like go ahead, do your thing,
By all means.
yeah, do your thing. And so then freaking as Superman's gonna launch him and destroy him, Skeletor does the normal thing that he always does, and he just disappears. He like disappears, and Superman's even like, wait, where did he go? What the heck? And he's like, does he do that often? And he's like, yeah, we're gonna fight him again. Like He-Man tells him, like,
Yeah.
we're gonna, don't worry, we're gonna fight him again. And and then that's when they finally have time to explain to each other, like, what's going on. And he's like, yeah, I still don't understand. Like that's when he tells him, and he's like, hey, like I gotta go. Superman's like, I gotta go, there's another portal opening, I see. I gotta go, or else I'm gonna miss my chance to go. And he's like, but if you ever need to call on me, you know and then he like just bounces out. And that's when He-Man's like waving, he's like, don't worry, like I know how to call you if I ever really really need your help. Like I know how to call to Earth, so don't worry, my friend. And then he goes back, and then Eternia is safe again. So but that's
That's
essentially
cool.
the comic. And it's pretty freaking cool. But yeah, it's pretty sick. And then they say farewell. So
Yeah.
they say
That's the end of the
farewell,
episode.
and that's the end of the episode, man. And for me, like, yeah, exactly. Like, this is before we had a bunch of movies and a bunch of cartoons. So for me, like when I'm reading that, like my mind is playing with the panel, right? It's almost like I'm watching a movie in itself, but it's just a comic,
Yeah.
So But
Well, it's
yeah,
crazy how like that it follows the crossover template kind of you know, beat for beat, and
it
it's
does.
in a classic way, because crossovers are obviously, the big rage. They're always exciting to see big characters like that, especially those kind of pillars, because Superman had been around for a long time at that point, and
Right,
He-Man is almost pitched as like the 80s Superman. You know what I
right,
mean?
right. Essentially,
And
yeah.
yeah, they're putting them up against each other so we can actually see them. And I'm
Mm.
surprised that the fight didn't happen earlier on, but in this, it's made out to be kind of the main event. You know what I mean? Like you have to work your way up to
Right,
see them actually scrape and brawl and everything.
right,
And we know
right,
they're going to team up, of course. I mean,
right,
this is from a period in pop culture where um, a lot of kids programming were commercials for toys and stuff, and that's not inherently a bad thing.
right,
It's just the way capitalism is. But look
right.
at the great things that have come out from that era, things like He-Man, things like uh what the hell, G.I. Joe, Transformers,
Of
the
course.
Battle Toads if you want.
Yeah, yeah. Battletoads,
Um
Biker Mice from Mars, Street Sharks.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
go.
every the turtles
Yeah,
even. I mean,
yeah. Transformers.
it all comes from these types of meetings that make excitement. Like
Right,
that's a
right.
really cool thing. It's like generations meeting this crossover.
It is, and I'm glad that Superman was one of the early introductions to He-Man. You know what I mean? Because He-Man for
Hmm.
me is one of my top five favorite heroes of all time. I love He-Man, and I know that's because I did. I grew up with him. My first toy was a He-Man toy, and so I saw the cartoon. That was like I was watching religiously,
Yeah.
and then the movie came out with Dolph Lundgren, and I know it's not the best movie of all
Yeah.
time, but I still really loved it. I love the Skeletor in that movie is really good. So even if the
Oh,
movie's
Frank
whatever,
Leota.
yeah, that
Or
performance is
Frank Leota. Frank
yeah,
Langella.
yeah, Mangella, yeah, yeah, yeah. But that performance is the best performance in that movie, and it deserves to be respected, even if the movie's not the best. That performance from Skeletor is for Skeletor is insanely good.
Yeah. Well, is this comic the first crossover you read?
It's the first crossover I ever read. Yes, the first like
Wow.
other than like team ups, right? But like the
Right, right.
like teams, but the first like crossover, and it
Yeah.
blew my mind. It literally blew my mind. This is just like of
Yeah.
pages. It's just ink on like you know shitty paper. You know what I mean? And to me, it gave me goosebumps when I was a kid. I didn't even know what goosebumps were. And then or I kind of did because I had seen RoboCop, and RoboCop really does a number on you. So does the Turtles,
Especially
but
that scene where he's getting shot up.
oh my goodness, that's I'm telling you, that's how I was introduced to death. I didn't even know that, and
Right.
Optimus Prime dying. Those were like traumatic experiences as a kid,
Oh my God.
and it's your first kind of like bout with, oh shoot, the main character can die. What the hell is going on? Like you're almost confused. Like you want to like I turn to my dad like I think they did it wrong. I don't like you don't understand. Like
Did
wait,
they
he's the main
rewind it?
character. You just killed him. Like what? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the first like crossover two IPs, right? Like crossing over,
Yeah.
literally the hand clapping, like we're you're Superman, I'm He-Man, like let's roll, let's go whoop some butt. And
Yeah.
yeah, it really blew my mind because I love Superman already, and then I fell in love with He-Man, and then both of them meeting is just to me it's next level. And then when they fought, I actually felt that nervousness in reading
Hmm.
the comic. Like I was nervous, like oh my goodness, they're gonna fight, Jesus, like what's gonna happen? You know what I mean? Like they can't punch each other. This is not fun, so
Yeah.
but it
Is
was
this post-crisis?
I think it's no, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay.
Maybe not. I
Okay.
don't think so. Because this is 81. I think Crisis is a little bit after that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It came out after then.
Yeah, I
The
did. It
reason
was
I
like
ask
later
is,
in the 80s.
yeah, because the reason I ask is because I know they've done crossovers since. I mean, there have been plenty. DC has done so many crossovers with like Batman and the Turtles, Power
Right.
Rangers, Justice League. They brought back the Masters of the Universe and DC, Justice League crossover and everything.
They
Um,
did.
I wondered if this was ever considered canon, aside from maybe considering it canon yourself. Like this can be easily, I mean, it can easily be considered like this could have happened, since
Yeah.
it's just like a one-off story and everything. But I'm curious if it ever was considered.
I wonder. I know there was a small run. There was a small run that was distributed by Marvel actually in the 90s. So He-Man has been distributed by both DC and Marvel, but I think generally speaking it's considered more DC, you know.
Right.
The latest crossover that they had, well, one of the biggest stories that they've ever had was the Eternity War, and that was sick. I thought it was dope, but a dope crossover that they had, like you said, they did the Justice League and Godzilla. They did Power Rangers
Oh
and
yeah.
Godzilla, which was really dope. They're about to do Naruto and the Turtles, which is really awesome. But
Oh
the
really?
yeah,
Oh wow.
it's yeah, super exciting, super exciting. But one that they did that was really cool. It was really cool. It was a fun read. Was Thundercats and Masters of the Universe, and it was
Oh,
really
that's
sick.
yeah.
It was
That's
so
Are
sick.
those both Hasbro?
Mattel.
Mattel and
Yeah,
Hasbro.
Mattel. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because
Okay,
because
because
I
I
know
know.
He-Man's lines are Mattel.
Oh, they are Mattel. They're not
Yeah.
Hasbro?
No, I don't think so. I mean I could see here, but I don't. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
because
that.
I'm. Oh wow. Okay. Maybe I'm thinking. No, I'm thinking of Transformers because they're definitely Hasbro, and so is
Yeah,
GI Joe.
Transformers are Hasbro.
Right. Okay.
Transformers are
Okay.
Hasbro. What's the other one? Mash is Hasbro. Um,
Mash and
yeah, what's
the
the other one?
GoBots.
Yeah, those are all Hasbro. But yeah, it says here it's Mattel.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Trademark of
Oh,
Mattel for
oh, well
sure.
then, dude, you gotta get that. If Barbie was such a big hit, you need the He-Man film now. Mattel
You
needs
have
to get
to.
on that.
You have
On
to.
it.
Yeah, I don't know how they don't do it. Like sometimes I wonder they throw money at these things. And not that Barbie was bad. I liked Barbie, but not,
Yeah.
uh I don't know. Sometimes they throw money at stuff to a prequel or to something that I don't want to see. And I'm just like, man, you guys could literally print money if you just did He-Man, you know what I mean? Or a Thundercat.
He-Man, it's the
Yeah.
answer.
Like, come on.
Thundercats.
Yeah, let's
I
go.
do
Bring it.
both and then cinematic universe it. They're doing Transformers and GI Joe soon.
They're always in talks, right? Quote unquote in talks. Like, what should we do? What should we do? Like, where's Battletoads at? What do you
Yeah,
talk? What should you do? What are you talking
they're
about? There's like
gone.
so much stuff. So I don't know.
They're away.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm surprised in a post-Thor world we don't have a. I'm very surprised actually that we don't have another Masters of the Universe.
yeah. I mean, we could have had it by now for a while, and it always falls through. The live action always falls through. It's annoying, but
Hmm.
at least we have the one. We have the Lundgren one. So let's go.
Longren.
Let's go. I love
Is
Lundgren.
it, yeah, there's an interesting like we're stuck in the 80s kind of, which I'm
Hmm.
I'm not criticizing, a lot of
Right.
cool stuff has come from then, like Stranger Things and Guardians of the Galaxy,
Of course.
there's an interesting fascination fans have of that time. And I mean, I watched Back to the Future the other night, and it just seems like in entertainment back then there was just kind of like this like quality was more, you know, it's more of a factor in what
Yeah,
was
they
entertainment.
cared in a certain way, a little bit different than they do now.
Yeah,
It's and
yeah,
sometimes that care you see it, even though the style might be different, but you see that care the creators care a certain way. Like I would say the first Deadpool kind of had that feel where it's like
yeah,
this is only made because the showrunners, the producers, the actors themselves, they all cared. You know what I mean?
yeah. They worked their
So
ass off on it,
they work their ass off, and
and
you can see it. Yeah,
yeah. I,
yeah.
I don't know if our era of entertainment is going to be looked at in the same way that the 80s will be
No,
or
I don't think
is,
I don't think
you
so,
know?
and I don't think it should be. But yeah, definitely not. It will not be.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, we're in the corporate era, which is crazy me saying that because literally things like He-Man and Transformers and Thundercats were made to sell toys.
Right, right. No, I know.
Crazy.
is literally
You
created
know,
for that, you know.
we're the repackaged era.
We are. Yeah, that's what we're doing. And we do that for every single thing. We
Everything.
repackage all eras. Is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, here, let's talk about. We were talking about Batman earlier,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
you were good, good kind of test taster with bringing up Superman. Let's
Okay.
talk about the other side of the DC universe
Let's do it.
with
Gotham.
Batman.
Yeah.
Yes, Gotham. We're going from Eternia and Metropolis to Gotham,
Let's go.
and literally, wait, hold on. These are the
Uh,
skies in Metropolis.
yeah.
These are the skies in Gotham right here.
Let's go. Let's do it.
We're gonna talk about um, Detective Comics number
Oh,
27.
oh my God. As classic as they come. Let's
Yes, like
go.
like you, Daniel, this is a
Yeah.
first printing of Detective
First.
Comics number two. No,
Whoa.
no,
That's
I'm
the
joking. I'm joking.
oh my God. I was
No,
about to, how's that even sell,
we're,
buy a house? Like,
we're
I'm like, what are you
get some
doing with
health
original
insurance.
print, bro? Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's your retirement money. But no, that's cool,
I
man.
know, right?
Yeah,
It is beautiful. This is a
it
reprinting
is.
they did
Yeah.
um a while ago of like a back when Loot Crate boxes were a thing.
Okay,
Um,
okay,
this was for an anniversary of Detective Comics number 27, and I found it over at this place in called Blast from the Past in Burbank, which
okay.
awesome place,
Yeah,
freaking great place.
yeah.
On Magnolia, and I
Right.
got it for really good price for the quality. It's like I got it for like uh what, $7 or something?
What?
Look,
That's
yeah,
good. That's
dude.
nice. Even for a
And
reprint, that's pretty good.
yeah, and it comes with an uh, certificate of authenticity right here,
Yeah, yeah, that's cool.
you know,
I was
as a
gonna say
reprint and
that's 10 to
everything.
25 at least, but yeah, $7, that's good, man.
I
That's
saw it on
good.
eBay
Uh,
for $100.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's definitely worth a lot more. Even the reprint is worth more than freaking $7. Like, jeez.
Yeah.
That's a good deal,
So
man.
go to Blast from the Past.
Yeah, for sure.
Is
For sure.
is the point. But
For sure.
this is I hold it as if it were from 1939 because
Yeah,
I
right, right,
love this
right.
cover. Look at
Yeah,
this.
virtually it is. Yeah, no, that's cool.
Th
That's
this is what
fantastic.
we're
And Cape Crusaders kind of modeled a little bit after this a little bit. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean
So,
they're definitely trying to merge modern storytelling with this era of Batman,
right, 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 right.
Um
For sure.
where
Makes sense.
where Batman, yeah, absolutely, where Batman was definitely more of a like we talked about earlier, a pulp hero.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
before we even talk about the significance of this issue, the historical significance, it
Okay.
transcends pop culture, comic culture. This is
100%.
historic, this book.
Correct.
I do want to mention that it is not just a Batman book. It's Detective Comics, so there are other stories in here. Like it's like it says right here, 64 pages of action, and there are other comic books in this collection right here. And I
Yeah.
just wanted to name a couple of them because what's funny
For
is
sure.
that the Batman issue, which is the first issue in this book, it has actually some of the cruddiest art
Really?
compared compared to some of the other books
Yeah.
like Speed Saunders, Ace Investigator, and the Killers of Kurdistan by Fred Gardenier. Um,
Yeah.
that I mean the art, but I'm gonna put it up here and everything, but I'll show you, Daniel, right now.
Right,
Um,
right, right.
some of the art up in here is very, inspired and very cinematic and everything.
Right.
Um, there's just a lot of really cool stuff going on. There was this one that I really dug. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Come on, page turn. Buck Marshall, Range Detective by Fleming.
Yeah.
Look at this art right here. It
Oh
it's
yeah.
really they're
It
doing
looks
the whole
good.
Western vibe.
Yeah. But then you
Yeah.
get to the Batman and the Batman's bland. It's like bland. Is
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's very kind of two-dimensional. I mean, I'll put
Right.
up some art right now and everything, but here,
Right.
Daniel, check this out. This is it's almost like what
Yeah.
Charles Schultz used to do,
Yeah,
where it
right,
was
right,
very
right. Very Charles
two-dimensional and
Schultz. Yeah.
flat.
Exactly.
Like
That's what I was gonna say. You can tell it's 2D, right? Like like they're very much 2D type of thing, you know.
yeah, I mean there are some iconic um
Shots
there are
for
iconic
sure.
shots here, of course,
Yeah,
and
yeah, for sure.
there
Yeah,
right there is the first appearance of Batman right there
yeah.
in the
Wow.
costume, which is very similar to in '89, the movie
Yeah,
where he shows up,
yeah.
Um,
It's very similar to
freaking fire. But yeah, I just wanted to bring up some of the other book like Spy is in here.
that. Hmm.
You got books like oh, you got a whole afterword right here of kind of like what the magazine is trying to do, death on the airwaves and everything. And
Right, right.
whenever this book is brought up, that's not an element that's usually brought up, is that there are other comic books and issues that were attached to Detective Comics,
Well,
which is
yeah. I mean,
crazy.
it's crazy, but that was a style then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even Spider-Man, right? Like the a lot of different heroes were introduced in like an amalgamation of comics. Like there's yeah, like a collection of comic detective comics, action comics,
Amazing Fantasy, Timely,
amazing fantasy, exactly, like Tales, what are the other ones?
Tales to Astonish.
Tales to Astonish, right? And even the back in the day, not just the noir, but the horror comics were very popular, and they were very much a
Yeah.
collection of stories like Eerie, and what are the other
Tales from the
ones?
Crypt
Tales
also.
from the Crypt. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
it was kind of like to be expected. It's a way that the comic book companies were able to test heroes, right? So then you put them in these things, and then if they do well, then you know that you can make their own run, right? Like you can have a Batman run depending on if the Detective Comics sells, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. And Batman is, I mean, there's a reason he's on the cover. He's the premier character.
of
And
course, of course,
because he's got an instantly iconic look to him.
right?
He's look at him on this cover. He's
Yeah,
like
he looks like a
swinging, grabbing a
gangster.
fool. You
Yeah,
know,
he's a gangster,
this guy a
dude. Like,
monster? What's up with the Batman,
yeah,
dude?
hell yeah,
You know, like
yeah,
I absolutely
so
love it.
sick.
And if you think about it, Amazing Fantasy, the issue that Spider-Man's introduced, they're kind of paying homage to this. This
Yeah,
is
a
the
little bit, right?
groundwork for it.
Yeah, a little
Yeah,
bit. It's yeah, that's true. Like the structure of the cover art is very similar, you know?
yeah, I
So
love it, man.
yeah, it's awesome.
As for the story regarding the Batman issue, um, they're kind of it's very basic. It's a very short issue and everything. And there's no
Yeah.
super villain. It's literally what we're seeing in this new show where Batman is going after mob figures, corrupt politicians and everything, you know.
Regular dudes trying to make a living,
Yeah,
they might
right.
need to steal a little bit and then he like paralyzes them, you know?
Yeah. Beats them.
Go
Beat them
Batman.
bloody.
Yeah.
I love that the opening scene is where it literally here, let me the home of Commissioner Gordon, who at the moment is entertaining his young socialite friend Bruce Wayne. And they're just chilling.
Yeah, yeah, they're just kicking it. That's
They're
so
just
funny.
kicking it. And he's
Yeah.
like, hey, what's going on, Commissioner? Anything crazy going on in Gotham? It's like, oh, I don't know. Oh, I got a call. Oh, someone got killed. Hey, you want to come with me?
Yeah.
You're not doing anything, right?
Yeah,
You know?
it's so funny. It's like just it's story for story's sake, you know what I mean?
Yeah, literally. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, it's like they could have been. They're smoking right now with their pipes. They're probably smoking some weed up in there. Like they're so casual about it.
It sounds like they're smoking weed, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you doing anything tonight?
Yeah,
No.
you do. What are you doing? What are you doing? There's a murder. Want to come see a dead body? You know what I mean?
Want to
Like,
come see a dead body, bro?
whoa, man, whoa.
Whoa, dude, I'm surprised in the moment when they go to the crime scene and Gordon's showing him the body. He literally has that look on his face. He's still smoking his pipe, and he's just like, "All right, well, I gotta go now."
We can't waste the weed, you know? So,
No, I gotta go outside, finish this,
right, right, of
finish
course.
this hit, bro.
Oh man.
What's cool about this book is that, um, and it must have been mind-blowing back in 39 when it came out, is
Hmm.
that the reveal of Bruce Wayne as Batman is it's saved until the last panel of the issue where it's like, and then and to cap it off, to get you guys coming back, the socialite was Batman the whole time and everything. You
Right.
know, it's
Right.
such a it's not only a mystery in the story, it's a mystery for the audience reading, you know.
Right.
And
Right.
I love it, you know, I love that this is very much like it is very much like Sherlock Holmes, where he's kind of this guy who gets off at being at the crime scene and everything, you
Right.
know?
Right. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Exactly.
absolutely love that, you know? And he uncovers a conspiracy. He saves a dude from a glass jar like mechanism that just falls over him with a wrench.
Oh
Pulls pulls out a
yeah.
wrench and just it's like you're free now.
Yeah.
And
Very
the
rudimentary.
villain.
Very
Yeah.
rudimentary vigilantism. You know.
Yeah, literally. It's funny how like we know Batman to be such a brutal character and
Right.
like with his fists and he knows every martial art known to man and everything. But here it's just like he has like the figure of like a boxer and he knows like
Right.
to how to flip someone, how to counter someone very lightly. And
Right.
the villain at the end of this of the issue, and I'm telling you, it's really such a quick read.
Hmm.
Um, he falls into a vat of chemicals, but it's very clearly not the Red Hood. You know, it's like falling into chemicals is just like, you
A
know, it's
thing.
like a standard thing.
It's a
Gotham City.
standard thing for bat. Yeah. So yeah. Then we had the Red Hood that fell, and then there's the whole
Yeah.
Joker lore. Is he Joker? Is he not? Like that's the whole. And then they do it again,
Dude,
right? In '89. Then they do it
yeah.
again. Yeah. So
It's all stemming from here, but
yeah.
the what you'll probably appreciate, Daniel, in
Yeah.
this when the guy's falling, he's like falling to his death, presumably in this acid bath. And the
Mhm.
guy behind Batman, the guy Batman saved, is like, he's falling right into the acid tank. And then Batman says, a fitting end for his kind. And then
Yeah.
just splash.
Yeah. Yeah. Ruthless, dude. Ruthless. See, even he was down for he was down like the no kill rule. Even he didn't agree with it. So
It's
debate over,
ridiculous.
debate over, debate over.
Honestly, if
Yeah.
anyone has a problem with that line in Batman Begins where he's like, but I don't have to save you,
Yeah.
take it up with the first issue.
The
All
first
right.
issue, Batman did it. Batman agrees with himself. Killing's okay, he says.
Not only did he say, hey, not only did he just go for killing, he said, you know what? That's probably for the best that he went out that way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. It's wild. And a vat of acid, dude. It's not like he just just got rid of like, put an end to his misery. He like
Yeah.
that's sick, bro. It's like sick. That's like
That's RoboCop shit.
that's RoboCop right there. Like, whatever, dude. you know?
What is the future with Doctor Doom? And more importantly, who will be cast in the role? And now it's Robert Downey Jr. I'm not 100% sure how to feel about that.
Well, we talked about multiple characters that have been around for a long time and are going to kind of stay, have a legacy at this point and everything. We talked about like first crossover for you, first appearance of something like Batman, something as iconic as Batman.
Mhm.
And how do you think their legacies will evolve as comics continue and as films continue, entertainment, as it grabs them and everything? How do you think that these characters are going to change?
Well, it's funny that you asked that because I want to say, obviously, I have my theories and I can have my speculation. But the cool thing about comics, especially, I've taught like a comic book course in the summer for like younger kids. But there is no way of knowing. That's what's so cool. It's like all we do know for a fact is that they will constantly evolve, right? Like that's all
Mhm.
we do know. But we don't really know how they're going to evolve, and that's what makes it all so exciting. That's what makes it all so cool. And what I mean by that is even here, even in this podcast, we talked about it, right? We talked about how they used to listen to Dick Tracy and Batman on audio tape, like through the radio, right? And then from there, then we got black and white movies, and we got these comics. We have the golden age, the silver age, the bronze age, and then we got the 90s, and then what did that spawn, right? Like we went from 89 Batman, Adam West Batman, all the way to Christian Bale and Robert Pattinson's The Batman, right? Now we
Mhm.
have the Joker, and even that, think about it, Joker 2 is evolving. It's going to be a musical. I'm intrigued. Am I super excited? I don't know if I want, but I am intrigued, right? But that's what's so cool about comics. What if eventually we're watching audio comics, but in a with a virtual reality headset. You know what I mean? And so to basically, we're in a comic. You put it on, you click on issue number 3, whatever, and then you're like in the comic. I have no idea. I have no idea how it's going to evolve. All I do know is that these characters in these comics constantly evolve, and they will continue to evolve. I mean, we went from Spider-Man and Dolph Lundgren's Punisher all the way to now we have Blade, Tobey Maguire, and then in the X-Men movies, and now we have a full-blown MCU, dude. Now and
Yeah.
from the MCU, it evolved into the multiverse, and so it keeps going, and it's little by little. Before we know it, it's going to be on a different level that we have no comprehension of right now. It's just going to take a lot of time, right? But then they're going to look back on us like me and you, and they're gonna fans 50 years from now are gonna look back at me and you, and they'll be like, oh my god, like that's how they experienced the comics back then. Like, Jesus, that's crazy. Kind of how we look at the guys that were listening to Batman on the radio, like literally on the radio, they're listening to an audio comic, and we look at them like, dang, that's prehistoric. And I feel like it'll take longer time, but eventually people are going to look at us, comic book fans are going to look at even this podcast maybe and be like, man, that's ancient. Like, you hear those guys talking about these crossovers in the 80s and this and that. Like, this is insane. This is crazy, So all I know for a
Yeah.
fact is that it will evolve. How it will evolve, I'm excited to see it, man. It all intrigues me, so I'm down.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's such a great point, is that the definitions of these characters will kind of change, and
Mm-hmm.
not like crazy, but if
Right.
we're looking at, for example, the first appearance of Batman, you
Right.
know, a lot has been added since, a
For
lot of
sure.
aspects of his character have been altered since, and kind of the definition of what that character is about has changed,
Right.
and it's changed gradually,
Mhm.
we even know the origins of the character's creation better now than we did back then.
Right.
It was Bob Kane and Bill Finger.
Right.
Officially, legally they have to say with Bill Finger, but really, I mean, Bill Finger was such a influential part of
It was
why
Bill.
Batman. It,
Yeah.
it was, I mean, come
It
on,
was Bill. Yeah,
it
it was
was
Bill.
Bill.
Bill did it. Yeah.
Bob was there to collect some checks, but
Yeah.
Bill was the godfather of this
Yeah.
genre in many
Yeah.
ways,
Definitely.
and uh, to think that just those aspects of the comic book character that deal with real life are still kind of unraveling. It is unknowable, but like, we kind of have, what, 80, 90 years worth of history to kind of give us some inkling as to what it could look like. The
Yeah.
definitions, how people respond to the characters emotionally
Right.
will change. People are either going to become more emotionally connected or less, but they're
Right.
still going to be around, right?
Right. I mean, they're iconic for a reason. There's legacy for a reason. Even again, even within this podcast, we're talking about He-Man. He-Man, the
Hmm.
first mini comics, it was very much like Conan, right? A wandering barbarian. and then as it fleshes out into the later 80s, into the early 90s, then we could start getting the lore of of Eternia. We start getting the lore of Hordak, how he's connected to Skeletor, but that means we're bringing in She-Ra, right? And so you get a full-fledged universe of the Masters of the Universe, right? And so
Yeah.
it all evolves even within a decade, even 2 decades. It can we got the Lundgren movie, and hopefully we talk about another Masters of the Universe movie eventually. And so there is no way of fully knowing, but it's cool that we see this gradual way, and we're living in it, right? We're living in
Yeah.
the tail end of one generation, we live through another, and then we're living in the changes that are happening as we go. It's really interesting. But I've always loved that it's basically our modern myths, right? And the mythos is being added to the canon, the lore. It's constantly evolving and changing and growing. And so
Yeah.
yeah, I love it all, so I'm here for it.
Yeah. Also, just real quick before we wrap it up,
Mhm.
I will predict that in the coming years, very soon, uh, these characters, the definitions of them will definitely change because a lot of them are going to enter the public domain, Superman
Right,
and Batman being included. So people are going to get
right,
their hands all over them and alter what they are, you know? And
right.
part of me is very worried because of things like Winnie the Pooh, horror films, you know?
That's right.
But also it's hopefully these characters will become a little democratized. Oh, it's Ace, the Bat
Yeah.
Hound.
Oh, it's Bat Hound right here. No, this is Nala. Say hi, Nala.
What's up,
Hi, Nala.
Nala?
Hi, Nala.
Uh,
Yeah, super cute.
you made it to the first
You
issue.
made it for the issue. Yeah, first issue. Tolerate comic. Let's go.
Hell yeah. Well, Daniel, since you were last on, you have started Daniel Rumbles. So you want to tell
Yeah,
everybody about that?
yeah. So you could catch me on stuff I'm gonna be trying to post on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, or X, but it's all under Daniel Rumbles. So you'll be able to find all my stuff, clips from here, from Bumbling Cinema, a lot of crossovers that we do, and you'll be able to see them on Instagram, YouTube, X, TikTok. But yeah, it's all under Daniel Rumbles. You'll be able to find me. So
Catch Daniel when we make our own Batman movie in 10
hey,
years.
there we go. Yeah. It's coming. Don't worry,
It's
people.
coming.
It's coming.
It's all
Yeah.
right. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for embarking with me on this new journey. This is very
Yeah.
exciting. I've been looking forward to this for a while. And hey, man, I'm glad that we tolerate comics.
Yeah, me too. I'll tolerate them from now until I can, right? But yeah, thanks for having me on, man. This is really fun.
Of course, guys, thank you so much for listening. Please do the regular YouTube stuff, like, share, and subscribe. And please look up Daniel Rumbles, because he's gonna be really killing it soon when he really gets on the grind set,
Yeah,
as it were. And
yeah,
you'll see Daniel again soon on this channel
yeah.
for sure.
All right.
I'm really excited. And yeah, next issue is coming out in 2 weeks. So
Okay.
really enjoy, guys.
Yeah.
Have a good one, stay safe, and goodbye.
Peace out.